Aloha again to the Big Island Hawaii Ultra podcast. This is program number 5. We interview Shawn Mishler about his running career and the places he's been. So please enjoy that. If you want to help us out, you can go to our Patreon site, which is at Patreon. That's patreon.com/Hawaii Ultra. And if you need to find us on YouTube, you can find us on YouTube or iTunes by just searching for Hawaii Ultra or Big Island Hawaii Ultra. And if you need to email me, you can email me at joe@joefireball.com. So please enjoy. Hey, aloha! We have Shawn Mishler here today to talk to us on the Big Island Hawaii Ultra podcast. Shawn, welcome. Happy Tuesday.
Thank you, Joe. Good to be here.
How are you today? Did you go out for a run this morning?
I haven't been out yet today. Been running pretty regularly, though, during this downtime and knocking out some nice slow miles and some pensive miles.
You guys kill me because you talk about slow miles and you're talking 9-minute miles, 8-minute miles.
No, I've been purposely kind of like I'm seeing this as an opportunity to like work on base, just slow down, take it easy, maybe run a little bit more than I'm normally used to. And because there's no racing to do. So why not just go long and slow?
Well, back in the day, we used to call that doing LSD, didn't we?
Yeah, right.
So
I've done some LSD.
Where did you grow up? I mean, honestly, I have no idea where you grew up or anything. So
I grew up in Kansas, Northeast. Strangely enough, I was through the grade 3. I lived in Norton, Kansas, and then after grade 3, I moved across the state of Kansas to Horton, Kansas. So
Norton to Horton, huh?
I had this idea that every town name rhymed with Orton. But yeah, I grew up in Kansas and went to high school there, graduated and left.
When you were in high school, were you on any sports teams, organized sports teams or anything?
Yeah, I ran track and I ran cross country. Started that in middle school, I guess, running track. And then I was on the football team too. So I did the double sport with football and cross country. But I wasn't really into competitive running all that much, but I did enjoy running. Probably, I wasn't that good at the competitive side of it, but I did enjoy the sport. So,
well, what distances did you do when you were running?
When I was in track, I don't even remember what I did in middle school, how I kind of got started with it. But in high school track, I did the mile and the 2 mile.
Oh, okay.
Did both of those. And then back then, cross country was 2 miles, usually on golf courses.
Yeah.
We'd go out and run on golf courses. And but I think it was my junior year, my high school did really well. We had one particularly fast runner, and then with the team points we got up there, so we placed pretty high in the state championships. I want to say like 4th or 3rd for the team.
So was the good runner on your team, was that Jim Ryan?
No, it wasn't. I don't go back quite that far.
Shows you how I go.
He was a hell of a runner.
So Kansas, what I remember from Kansas is the times I've driven through is toll roads.
Yeah, there's a lot of open roads, and there's quite a lot of difference. Most people have the image of Western Kansas with the plains and the wheat fields and everything, and in Eastern Kansas, there's more of some rolling hills and winding country roads. Everything in Western Kansas is a grid, and every side of the grid is a mile, and that's called a section of land. So if you just run a block, you ran 4 miles. So,
Oh, oh, wow.
so you go quite a ways out
Because
there.
I do remember in when I was traveling through, I would stop at the time and I would see a side road along the freeway and stuff, and I go, I'm going to stop and run, and I would park the car and go out and just do a run, however long I wanted to do it, and it was great because I was living in Colorado, so this was like, oh, flat.
Yeah. 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 Eastern Colorado is the same way. It's just, well, it's an ancient ocean bottom, but it
Yeah.
just goes on and on until you see those Rocky Mountains. And then it's a whole different story.
When
But
you're
yeah,
when you're on the football team, what position did you play on the football team?
uh, gosh, again, just, I'm not even sure why I did it. I wasn't that good at all. I just goofed off, I think, mostly. In middle school, I was a quarterback for a while, probably third string, I'm guessing. But then later, I don't know, did a little bit of receiving and defense and stuff. But yeah, I think I just tried to stay active, to the degree I could, and it was just a thing, in the Midwest, you kind of have to, if you're a boy, you have to join the football team. And I mean, if I would have had any sense about me, I'd have golfed. That would have been the fun thing.
I was just going to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all the kids, the few boys that did join the golf team probably got teased a lot, but in retrospect, that would have been the sport. Man, that'd been fun.
Well, they probably made more at golf than you made at track.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So where'd you go to college?
UH Hilo.
Oh, okay. So why? Why? What brought you to Hawaii?
Um, my parents were divorced when I was young, and my mom moved to Hawaii because we had cousins over here. And so I would come stay with her. Me and my brother would come stay with her in the summertime, and then we'd go back to Kansas for school. And I just loved Hawaii, and I loved that. I really enjoyed the differences. I think it really opened my eyes in a lot of ways. But I mean, it's radically different to go
From
to.
Kansas? Yeah, yeah.
That was well, she was living in Eva Beach then, and then eventually, and still now, out in Waianae. And so, to go to Waianae and then eastern Kansas, it's just so different in so many ways. And but I just fell in love with Hawaii. I just knew it. There was a point in my life when I knew, and I think it really sunk in for me the first time I came to the Big Island. I was like, this is
Mm.
it. This I'll end up here one way or another someday.
Yeah.
um,
Funny how that happens.
but
Yeah.
I did go to a couple years of college over at Leeward in Pearl City, and then they just had an associate's program, so I transferred over to UH Hilo. That was my opportunity to get over here, was to come do finish my bachelor's degree
Did
at
you have
UH.
you had brothers and sisters? Yeah.
I have one brother, younger brother.
Oh, okay.
He's over in Waianae now.
Oh, okay. So you both kind of picked Hawaii.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I did 3 years in the Army before, in between that, getting out of high school. So I was in the Army. I guess, started college a little later. I didn't go right out of high school into college. I mean, I wouldn't have had the money to do it. So that was one thing the military gave me, was the new GI Bill. I was able to go to college on that. So.
Oh, well, thank you for your service. Certainly
Oh,
appreciate it,
sure.
especially back then too.
Yeah. I was actually in a very fortunate time. I landed right in between all the conflicts. The only thing that was going on when I was in basic training was Grenada. Remember
Oh,
when
yeah.
Reagan deployed some soldiers down to Grenada, and they, the drill sergeants were having a ball telling us how, you guys are going, you're going to the meat grinder, you're going to Grenada. And then of course it was over by the time we got out of basic training. Thank God.
You missed a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was in the infantry, so I would have probably not been in the greatest position to go to war.
Well, then that was, you know, with a pack, hiking with a pack, then that actually probably led to your early training for ultras, self-supported ultras.
Yeah. Yeah. In a way, a lot of the walking we did was very similar. I mean, in terms of the keeping it together and learning to endure the pains, especially on the outer edges of the experience. It's the same, you know, when in some ways carrying something heavy on your back and walking and walking and walking. Those long runs are similar in a lot of ways.
Interesting inside your head. Yeah. Sometimes the surroundings change not too much, but what goes on inside here sometimes is very more challenging than the actual course. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to learn to, okay, what am I going to do for the next X number of hours inside, you know?
So what was your, did you start out doing 5Ks, 10Ks, marathons, 100-milers?
No, the long distance running is pretty new to me. I really didn't have a sense of people doing that until fairly recently. I didn't know that there were real long runs and that people went out and did. I mean, certainly not 100 miles or 50 miles. So yeah, I enjoyed that distance. I honestly, in high school, I thought a mile and 2 mile was a long way to run. So I thought that was endurance running, but I liked the style of that running, you know, where you went farther than what you could sprint, you know, farther than you could go all out. And yet there's that sensation of pushing yourself over a duration. At that time, couple miles, the duration's actually not that long, but you know, you can extend that out, and that's really what a 10K and then a half and a marathon, and you know, and then it starts to change, I think, after that, you know, at 50K, 50 miles or so. At that point, it's just so damn far that you got to come up with a different strategy.
I used to,
Yeah,
back when
I think increasingly I would just go a little bit farther. But I started with, well, I would do some races when I was up at, I was stationed at Fort Wainwright, Alaska in Fairbanks, and they would have races, you know, in the community there. And I would do some 10Ks and half marathons and things like that. Not a lot though, but that was about it.
Did you get to explore Alaska? Were you there? Because I visited up there in 1972, 73, no, 74 and 75. I had a friend stationed at Fort Richardson. So I got a chance to go up and explore the Valley of the 10,000 Smokes and stuff.
Yeah. I did. Yeah, I got out there quite a lot, but you know, we were light infantry stationed in Fairbanks, and our whole job was kind of strategically positioned against the Russian front in the Arctic setting. So what we would do is they would fly us out in helicopters, just way, way out there in the middle of the tundra, and drop us off, and that's where we would. And we did that all winter long, and we kind of had summers off. That's when we maintained all the equipment, and that was our downtime. Any off time was done during the summer. But the winter time, we were out in the field, way out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I saw some amazing stuff up there, flying treetops in a helicopter, like in a Huey or a Black Hawk, with the doors open, just right over the treetops, and the elk and the bears and everything running below us. It was amazing.
Pretty impressive animals there. Yeah, the bears are a little bit bigger than you think of bears usually.
Yeah. No, you know, I kind of had the same reaction. And when I first saw a black bear, I thought, okay, yeah, this is recognizable. But there's grizzlies up there, and I saw some grizzlies, and they look cartoonish. They're so they're enormous. So, but yeah, we usually made enough noise that they would stay away from us.
Yeah.
Keep a wide berth, but
I
I
remember,
loved Alaska. It was beautiful.
yeah, I remember, we went up to Denali and stuff, and I actually went up as far as Kotzebue and Nome, and
Mm-hmm.
got in a fist fight in a bar. And
Yeah, yeah, that's an Alaskan thing to do.
but yeah, I loved it out there. It was still, which I don't know. We should ask Beaker, how it is if it's still rural and stuff up there. But I
Yeah,
don't see how it cannot be. It's just as beautiful,
right.
you know.
Yeah, on the way to Nome, outside of Fairbanks, there was I don't remember how far it was. I want to say 30 miles north of Fairbanks, maybe. There was a great bar called Skinny Dick's Halfway In. It
Oh,
was
okay,
a
okay.
fantastic place to go. And they had a whole back area where they would do these big cookouts and stuff in the summertime. I don't recall ever going in the winter if they were even open. I don't know.
Well, I remember the summers because I was up there in the summers. And, I went to school in Minnesota, so I had enough winters to deal with. But up in the summer, where the sun would just kind of come down and then go back up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In Fairbanks, they have gosh, what do they call those? Well, on June 21st, it's basically a party all night long. Just it just goes. But yeah, I remember being out and then looking at my watch and it's 4 a.m. and I got to be I'm running at 6, I got to be in formation and PT in like 2 hours and I'm an hour from base.
Yeah, but you were younger then.
Oh yeah. 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 That was a different time.
Well, so you've covered flats in Kansas and certain wilderness in Alaska and then Hawaii. And specifically, what was the reason that well, not the reason, but when did you first hit the Big Island to be here permanently?
um, yeah. So I did 2 years of my undergraduate in Pearl City at Leeward. And then to finish up, I came over here to Hilo to finish up a bachelor's degree in English. And so at that point, yeah, I knew I was going to stay. I was so sure this was it. And then I met my wife, and she got accepted to graduate school in New York,
Ooh,
and we left 2 years later.
what?
Yeah, we went because she's from here. She was raised in Hilo, and uh, I also applied and got accepted, and we both went to graduate school then, right in New York City. So, and we stayed for 13 years. My daughter was born there, and professionally things just worked out really well for me and everything. But man, it was a tough decision for me to choose to leave Hilo because I just wanted to be here so bad.
Ooh,
But I knew I had to do something else. Graduate school was good for me and professionally and all that. So
that's
so
an
we
amazing
took off and
change,
went.
though. I mean, to go from Hilo to New York, New York, New York.
Oh yeah, yeah. We were at Columbia University, which is right on the Upper West Side, like 120th Street, 116th is the subway stop. But she went to the medical campus, which is even farther up in Washington Heights. And I had never been to New York at all. I never stepped foot in the city, so I didn't know what to expect, anything like it. And we flew to California, stayed with her grandmother for a little bit, and then got on a train and took a train across the U.S.
Holy
And
smokes!
we
You are
bought the,
old.
yeah, we bought these Amtrak tickets that you could buy back then, where you could go across you could go anywhere you wanted, and you could get off the train twice and get back on, and then your third time off, you were done. That's where you had to stay off. So So we got off in, I think it was Dodge City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Kansas, or something like that. Because that's the only two places I had family and friends. The rest was
That
wide
makes
open.
that makes sense.
But yeah, that was a pretty amazing trip. It was wild. But when we were, there's two things that from that train trip that really stand out in my memory, and one is, of course, a lot of people smoked back then in those days, but you had to smoke in this one certain car, and it was the same car where they would put they had this TV set up with cartoons playing all the time, so the kids would sit around the TV and watch cartoons with a whole ton of adults standing behind them just chain smoking. Just didn't seem real well thought out, but
Different time, yeah.
and then the other thing was right as we're pulling into Penn Station in New York, we're getting really close at this point. I think we just got a hotel that night or something because we didn't have our student housing yet. And so we're talking to somebody who is, allegedly from New York, and he tells us that, oh, Penn Station is, New York is super dangerous. You got to make a beeline, get out of Penn Station, get to the cabs right away, and then get to your hotel, and don't come out. And of course, there was nothing farther from the truth. but but it was funny how he completely overplayed that. But I didn't know. I mean, he had my attention for a while. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna get shot in Penn Station just trying to get to the cab.
Oh, it's funny. I was accepted to Columbia back in
Oh,
the
were
day
you?
and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, but there was
didn't
no way I
go.
could afford it, so I was like,
Yeah, I know. I went to UH Hilo and then Columbia. Oh my goodness, what a difference in cost.
oh. But I bet you that was, I mean, because a lot of times when the parents ask me about talking to their kids about what the kids, kickies need to do and stuff, I disappoint the parents because I tell the kids, get off the rock, go see the world, go to a bigger place. And in a lot of ways, that's the purpose, I think. Like you're going from Hilo, small town, to the big city to get, and it must have
Yeah.
given you great perspective on people's capabilities and what's possible.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and while I was in graduate school, I did a lot of project work, some of which was in South Africa. I went to Ethiopia. I went to Kenya. Went to all these places, and that was a really interesting perspective as a runner too, because Ethiopia and Kenya, are huge, huge places, and you talk about a completely different perspective and attitude about running. I mean, these folks have nothing. And
Yeah.
so running can be their only ticket out. But the competition is unbelievable. You know, so you're 1 in 1,000. You might have a chance of making a team, but they work so hard to get. And that's why when we do see runners from Kenya or Ethiopia here in the United States, they've got a million people behind them that didn't make it.
Oh yeah, I still remember Honolulu Marathon maybe 3 or 4 years ago. We were staying at Fort DeRusi at Halikoa.
Mm.
And the day after the race, I went out to the little park over there, and there were all the Kenyan folks from the race the day before, and they just, they were talking to me and asking me if I did the race, and I said, yeah, I kind of did the race, and they said, did you finish? And I went, yeah. Well, you did the race, and they
Mm.
were just happy to be out there to run 18 miles the next day,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, just a great attitude about running and great attitude about being in Hawaii, certainly.
Oh yeah, it's a
That was
long way to
amazing.
come.
So that was just part of your graduate studies, was to go to different projects?
Yeah, yeah. I had a professor that I worked very closely with, and he had a focus on sort of world issues, sustainability issues, and so that kind of work sort of took us in a lot of different directions. But I worked very close with him, and he was a runner too, and he was definitely an inspiration that helped keep me going in terms of running. And then Columbia's got some great people. There's an economics professor there that worked with the United Nations on various initiatives to eliminate poverty, Jeffrey Sachs. And so I went to Ethiopia and Kenya with his efforts. And we even took a trip, me and a colleague, and then two other people that we just met. We took a trip up to the Eldoret area, which is kind of the sort of the ground zero of the Kenyan marathon training area. That's that whole area. So you see a lot of people out running. Well, with nothing, that's another thing about the sport. It doesn't require anything. You can do it with very little investment.
Yeah, I mean, and see, if you need to get to I imagine if you need to get to the next village, you might not have a car.
Yeah.
And how do you get to the next village?
Right. Yeah. Or school or anywhere you want to go.
Oh yeah, that's like my generation is famous for saying, "Oh, I walked a mile to school," and
yeah,
in their case, they probably ran a 5K to school at the minimum.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely.
So is your wife still in the medical field and stuff? I don't even know.
She is, yeah. She's a physical therapist, but she does mostly writing. It was funny because listening to Sarah's video cast, she does similar work, I think. So my wife does a lot of medical writing. That's sort of her context for medical journals and sort of medical marketing type stuff, that sort of thing. But it's also, she is a physical therapist. She just doesn't practice anymore, but I give her an opportunity to practice once in a while.
Smart man who marries a physical therapist. Yeah.
Yeah, I can keep her in work.
Does she come to the races and stuff? Have I met her?
No, she doesn't. No, she's not a runner really herself. I mean, she wouldn't appreciate me even saying this, but she does go out and run, but she doesn't run in public.
Well, that's what I consider myself. I don't really run in public.
Right. No, the public just happens to be there. I'm just out for a run, damn it.
Well, the most public we ever had at a race was the Path Run the week before Ironman.
Yeah.
In 2005 or 6 when we had the earthquake.
Oh.
And everybody on Ali'i Drive and on the hotels, they had to evacuate the hotel, so they were all standing along the side of the road. And that was a big audience that we had for a running race for once.
Oh, so that earthquake happened right as the race was getting ready to start?
It was that Sunday before Ironman. I was living up here in Wyman, driving into town, and as I went past the airport, the truck started to do this, and I'd been in an earthquake before, so I went, okay, I know what that is. But I thought, well, okay. I got off, parked behind Uncle Billy's, watched the truck go like this, back and forth, and went, oh, this is going to be interesting. And got down there. Everybody had moved up to Kukini instead of being down on Ali'i Drive. I called Jan War because I was working for Ironman or volunteering for Ironman then, and I asked Jan, "Are we safe? Is there going to be a tsunami?" He said, "No, we're clear." I went, okay, and we basically delayed the race, I think maybe a half hour or so.
Wow, neat.
And then just, okay, here we go.
Yeah, I remember that earthquake. I was on a ladder when it hit, and going up to the loft, and my whole body went to one side. I just sort of swung off the ladder, but I held on, and I looked down, and there was a cat on the ground that was spread-eagled, just like usually cats are pretty cool about that thing. When that cat was trying to get its whole body onto the ground, I knew, oh, this is big.
Yeah, what the hell is this going on here? Oh, Kendra will appreciate that.
Yeah, right. Yep, she certainly will.
So what's you've done marathons, right?
I have, yep.
Yeah, you've done 50Ks. I know you
I have.
passed me
Yep.
many times.
50K is, well, it's the longest distance I've raced. I've done training runs longer than 50K before, but 50K is the longest I've raced at this point. I've done trail and road, and I like the distance. I've done a few marathons. I guess I've done marathons on road and trail too. Not too many on trail. You tend to not see them on trails too awful much, but um, I guess I really got into the trail running scene. I was going back to work. I was working full time up until about a year and a half ago or so, and my work would take me to Western Massachusetts twice a year.
Oh,
Well, it just so happened that first weekend in May was a race called Seven Sisters Trail Race up in Northampton, Massachusetts area, and it was the longest spine of a mountain range that the Seven Sisters were 7 different peaks that you ran up and down and over, and you'd go all the way out and then come back. And it was a little short of a half marathon, something like that, but a tremendous amount of up and down and climbing. And but it just had all those characteristics of a great race. It was super single track, beautiful scenery, and out and back. So you got to see all the really talented runners come back that way.
yeah.
And very technical. So you would run by somebody that blew an ankle and they're laying, groaning, holding their ankle off in the forest. So, so I was doing that race every year. And then from there, I just picked it up and did a few, got a little bit longer. Did a trail marathon out there in Connecticut one year. I think that was a fall race. And, I'm not sure why they made the distance 26.4, and I don't know if it was like a tongue-in-cheek ultra marathon thing.
Well, it's what? Where is it again? In New
In
Hampshire?
Connecticut.
In Connecticut. Okay.
Shenipsit Trail Runners or something was the group, the club. It was very folksy, very local. They gave apple pies for all the prizes,
Oh,
and
very cool.
yeah, it was a great run. It was awesome.
I think that's great to do a 26.4.
Yeah, so they like tacked a quarter mile on just to make it more than a marathon.
It's an ultra then. It's an ultra.
Right. Yeah, that was
Let's
a
see.
great one.
So I know it's mostly triathletes who know this, but do you know what your best time for a marathon is? Maybe.
I don't know what. I'd have to say it's around. It'd be between 3:30 and 3:45, somewhere in there. Would
That's
be my
still fast.
fastest. I haven't run a marathon for a while. In May of 2018, I was doing a 50K in Portland, Oregon, in Forest Park,
Yeah.
and another beautiful setting for a race. And about 6 miles in, I turned my ankle pretty good, and it hurt. But I thought, I can run through this. I can go beyond this, and I realized that was a bad decision. I had another marathon to go yet, and turns out the injury was worse, and I made it much worse. And I say it took me at least a year to recover from that. That ankle was vulnerable and hurt, and it slowed me down. It took away a lot of my desire to go long, and so then I'm past it now, and got to say that once I finally did get past it, it was like euphoric almost. It's like I'm back. I can run again.
Well,
And that
it is funny. Sometimes that's what takes it. For some people, like a close friend of ours she had a pretty serious injury, not too long ago in a long race. And it does take going through that to understand, I think, better about who you are and stuff. I mean, I had a similar situation a long time ago. They used to do the Lonnie House Center, used to do a firecracker 5K, a 5K and a 10K, 5K, 5K, which they were going to bring back this year too, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I pulled a groin, and dumb decision at the turn on Kuakini and Queen K. I should have taken the ride back. Now I'll tough it out. Big mistake, and it was during the O.J. Simpson thing, and I can still remember sitting in a chair, watching O.J. trial and stuff, and hoping that I didn't either sneeze, laugh, turn my head the wrong way.
Yeah, right.
And every once in a while, still now, and I'll feel something down there, and it's like, oh no. And but once you have some runs where you don't think about it, then it's like, oh, okay, I'm back, I'm okay. Of course, I should talk today. Let's see, where is it? Oh yeah, out on the road there. I took a little chunk out of the hand there. It's like, oops.
How that happens.
I fall every once in a while,
Yeah, keeps it real.
So have you ever
pay attention?
Have you ever done 100K? Did you sign up for Alex's 100?
I haven't signed up for that one. I'm signed up for their 50K that will be whenever it'll be. I'm looking forward to that. I really hadn't done much running up on R1 until I signed up for that, and then went up and did a couple of exploratory runs. And wow, what a sweet place that is.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I ran up there 20 years ago, just on a whim and stuff. Because they used to do the race, Hurt used to stage that race from Hilo to Volcano, or Hilo to Waimea, and Waimea to Hilo, to reverse it every year. And I remember seeing that road, and I went, I'll go up there one time. But I hadn't been up there in 20 years. And, I started going up there too, and I'm going, well, outside of the first 4 miles where it really sucks.
Yeah. I know. It's pretty steep.
Yeah, well, it's consistent. Like they say, like on the Hilo to Volcano race, there's only one hill.
Right.
Now, in that race, I think I joked earlier, can you turn around so I can actually recognize you? Because that's the only time I ever see you. Oh, okay, yeah. That's the guy. That's the guy. You did this year's Hilo to Volcano race unsupported. You carried all your stuff, right?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I did the year before. I think it was a year before, maybe 2 years before. My wife supported me and would stop every so often, a couple miles or so. And it was just a pain. And I thought, oh, forget that. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna, I just made up some scratch in some little Ziplocs, threw them in my pack, and then I stashed water bottles along the way so I could just mix it right in my pack and go. And it was really fine. And that's another thing I do a lot of is backpacking. And so it kind of made the running experience a little closer to the backpacking experience. I mean, I don't tend to stash food out along the trail when I backpack and pick it up along the way or anything like that. But yeah, that was, I just had the powder mix and water bottles every, I don't know, 5 miles, something like that.
Yeah, I remember you joking, as you passed me one of the times and stuff, where you said, "Hey, does anybody report an old guy with white powder in a baggie?"
Yeah, right. Yeah. Get hauled off to jail halfway through the 50K.
So what do you use? What do you use for nutrition? I knew I knew the doc who invented Scratch way back when, because I was hanging around with Lance Armstrong and those guys. So besides Scratch, what do you use?
I've been using this SIS, Science in Sport, I think it's the real watery stuff.
Yeah.
Because I like that, supposedly you don't need to take it with water. I do, but it just goes down so easy. It's not goopy or anything. So I use that. I really, I'm lucky. I don't have any GI issues really, but then again, I haven't really gone the long distances. I probably will be moving into some of those longer races here in the next year or two if everything goes well. So nutrition and my strategy around nutrition, I'm going to have to put probably more thought into it than I have in the past. But
I know, PB&Js, tacos, and Fireball.
yeah, right. I did run a marathon, a trail marathon one time, and I hit an aid station and they had Twizzlers, and I grabbed a whole
Ooh.
handful of them and ran with those and ate them, and they were the best red licorice I've ever had in my life right
Oh,
there.
yeah. What's your shoe of choice nowadays?
I just recently, well, I probably on third or fourth pair, but I run in Hoka's now. All the Clifton 5 and the Speed Goat 3. Both of them are kind of older models, but they're one model back. But I with that ankle problem, that when I hurt the ankle, it how once you have one injury, you tend to create new ones because
Yeah.
you change your posture and your form and everything. So I ended up with a problem with my heel, and then it became my heels, and then I was running in Nikes and Ultras, and I just thought there's just not enough shoe here for me, and so I switched to Hoka's, and they serve me well. I mean, I love that extra padding.
What size are your shoes?
My shoes are 10 and a half, I think.
Ah,
11.
darn. I got a pair of Hoka Speed Goat 3s, but it's a size 12.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're a little too narrow for me, so.
Yeah, I've heard people say that. And running in the Ultras before, what I liked was that wide toe box. Kind of, they sort of feel like slippers in a way. They're that comfortable. But I think tightening up on my foot like that might give me a little bit better stability on the trails for not having no play in there side to side
Yeah.
as you hit an uneven surface and your foot might slide a little bit. That doesn't happen now. And I don't have any, I don't lose toenails. I don't get black toenails. None of that stuff. So
No blisters, anything like that?
pretty rare.
No. What kind of socks do you wear?
Anything, cheap Costco socks. I
That's
have,
all we used to have, yeah.
when I run Honolulu Marathon, I tend to bring over a pair of those Iniji, the ones with the toes. Yeah, so I'll bring a pair of those just because it's so hot. You sweat so much, and I think the sweat going down into my shoes tends to make my toes blister in between them. So by wearing those toe socks, that problem goes away. But
Well, my joke is that's the only way I can count, unless I can't get above 10 otherwise. So
right.
yeah, now, I should mention, I'm going to mention Tailwind right now, because
Oh
Tailwind is
yeah.
nice enough to make me a Tailwind ambassador or a trailblazer. So I get some free Tailwind stuff now, thanks to them. And I've done the SIS and stuff, and I've tested a lot and Scratch. When Scratch
Yeah,
first came out, there's Scratch bars now, isn't there?
there are. I've not tried them, but I make a lot of my own stuff too. Like if I go on long runs, training runs in my neighborhood, I tend to go stash stuff alongside the road so I don't have to carry anything. I do have one of the Salomon vests with a water
Oh,
bladder in the
yeah,
back
yeah,
and a couple
yeah.
of water bottles in the front. So I can go a long way. But I'd prefer not to carry that if I can figure out a way to avoid it. But um, but yeah, I've used Tailwind too. Tailwind was a sponsor of that Seven Sisters, so they had that at the aid stations.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that's a good one too. I think Tailwind's very similar to Scratch in some ways because you sort of
Yeah,
get a full nutrition profile, right?
yeah. The thing about and I also used to have S. Oh gosh, I can't remember what is S something or other, and it didn't have quite enough potassium in it. But both
Mm,
Scratch and Tailwind are both sugar. I mean,
yeah,
and in the case of Tailwind, it's strictly, it's glucose. It's dextrose as glucose, which is your body assimilates it really well. I'm
Yeah.
not exactly sure what scratch sugars are, but I don't think they have like maltodextrin or anything like that, which is, where people, I'm lucky like you, is I have literally no GI issues out
Yeah.
there. I'll eat anything that anybody sticks in front of me.
Hmm.
I really don't have too many issues and stuff with it. Although I do have a fond memory. I've told this, I think, every podcast now at Rocky Raccoon, which I did last year with Sylvia. And I still remember being out in the middle of the night in the dark, and from the distance I could hear somebody
Oh
was
yeah.
throwing up in the distance.
Yeah. That's rough. I haven't been there yet, and I hope to never get there. But I'm not sure you can go, really long distances without experiencing it at some point.
Well, supposedly the theory is that you haven't really gone as far as you can until you've done that.
Yeah.
You know what? The last time I should probably knock on wood and stuff, but the last time I had GI issues was Honolulu Marathon 5 years ago. A bunch of us went to the pizza place over by the Harbor Pizza,
Okay.
and a couple of us got food poisoning.
Oh,
And it was after the race, so it wasn't big deal. But it
yeah.
was like, why am I all of a sudden throwing up? And it was
Yeah.
tomato sauce apparently and stuff.
Yeah, I got food poisoning, or I thought it was food poisoning. I'm still not sure now, but I just went over to Honolulu before all this COVID thing came down to run the 10K, the King's Runner one
Yeah, yeah,
over there by Thompson Park.
yeah.
And yeah, I was throwing up all night long 2 nights before, and then I still did the race, but it was a mess. I mean, I forgot my race bib. I didn't feel good, but
It's that
yeah,
age group thing. Yeah. As you get
yeah,
to higher age groups, that stuff just kind of happens more often.
yeah, right. Well, I remember to drive all the way down to Honolulu from Waianae to pick it up on Saturday, and then I forgot to bring it to the actual race on Sunday.
So how has the whole COVID thing affected your training and stuff? You're just running in the neighborhood pretty much?
Yeah, yeah, I'm running in the neighborhood. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Todd Moronic is a
Yeah.
volcano runner too, and he and I had such a great rhythm going where we would just about every other day we'd get together. We'd go to the gym up at KMC and run together. And he runs faster than me, so that was really helping with my pace and everything. And by both of us. We keep each other honest, showing up, doing the training. And then this all came down and we just lost the park for the volcano.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
Yeah.
were locked out of the because that's where we do all our running, is right inside the national park. And we were locked out of that for a year. And now got back in there. They're still working on trails, so a lot of the trails are still closed even from the earthquakes. But we still we did the best we could and did a lot of running in there. And then now we've thrown a monkey wrench into our training plans again. So yeah, and like I said, I'm running in the neighborhood. I'm tending to do sort of the same boring route that I do, but I totally what Sarah was saying resonated completely with this route that there's really nothing to see and nothing. So it's just purely mental for me. I just go out and I think through problems, work or life, or how the hell am I going to solve this coronavirus issue or whatever. So yeah, I kind of just get lost in thought now, and I go out and run and realize I'm back home before. Luckily, I can do it all on autopilot.
Yeah, it is funny because the repetition, I don't know, I'm still undecided. Sometimes I think it helps. Sometimes it's like you said, it's like, oh, wait a second, where am I? After about 5 miles, it's like, my theory always, like, I don't like to run on Elite Drive that much,
Yeah,
because I know exactly where I am at every
Yeah.
spot on a Lee Drive, and I'd rather not know where I'm at.
Yeah. Right.
No, you
Yeah,
got
no, there is something that's nice about that. To sort of you get in the flow so deep that you really have to work at it to reposition yourselves. Like, okay, where am I? And if you're doing that in trails, trails they change so much here and there. So you might have to run a little bit, and it puts you off a little bit. But it's an interesting experience to just I'm flying down a trail and I don't even know where I'm at for a moment. And
well, I think the younger generation now, because I listen to like Rob's podcast and stuff, is you're in the flow, which takes on a different meaning here for us on the Big Island because of lava flows. But yeah, you're in the
yeah, is that Rob Carr?
no, this is what's Rob's last name? He does one of the ultra running podcasts. He's a friend of Matt Daniels. He did
Okay. You
stuff
know
too.
who Rob Carr is, right? Or you know what he looks like? He's like one of the first ultra runners with the big long beard and
Yeah.
everything. Well, I did that race where I did that 50K. I also did a half marathon in Forest Park, Oregon. And I showed up there that morning. You could do bib pickup that same morning. So I showed up early, which I like to do. And I thought to myself, man, everybody looks like Rob Carr here. Everybody's walking around with these long, dark beards and short, close cropped hair and everything. And so we did the race and everything. And I got my whatever at the end and went home, looked at the results online. First place, Rob Carr. He was actually there. I wonder if he thought, damn, everybody looks like me.
So why'd they put up all these mirrors?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I think that's the good thing about trail runs and stuff. It's like, I can still remember the first time I helped at the Way Too Cool 50K. A friend of mine, Gary Wang, was doing it, and I was over there to get some medical stuff done. And so I said, well, I'll join you and stuff. And I helped out at an aid station for Julie, the race director. And I'm talking to this old guy afterwards, and I don't think anything about it. And he says, oh, yeah, I've done the race a few times before, blah, blah, blah. And it's really nice guy, super nice guy and stuff. Well, it's Gordy Ainsley.
Oh, wow.
Who, was technically the first guy to run the race.
Yeah.
Cowman would dispute that, but, and so now when I do races, like I did the Brazos Bend 100 miler, there was Gordy, and he was trying to make, they made a qualification for him to get into Western States this year that he would have to finish a 100 miler. And he didn't. He had to quit at about 60 miles or so. And Gene Sykes is the other guy. Gene Dykes is the other guy there. That's basically the three guys I got in my age group now. Gene, who has done a marathon, sub-3 marathon at 71. Gordy Ainsley, and then there's me way in the back.
Yeah, I just watched that movie on Western States that they're running for free, I think on YouTube, about the Western States. Was it 2010 or so when they had the sort of the four big superstars all racing each other? But Gordy is in it, and they talk about the roots and the genesis of the race. It's a really interesting story.
Oh yeah, if you ever get a chance, I don't see Cowman very much anymore.
Yeah, I haven't seen him around for a long time either.
I think he was living in California for a while. I think he's living at the retirement center in Kona still, but he's had phlebitis in his legs and stuff. But if you talk to Ken every once, if you can ever get an opportunity to talk to him, he'll talk to you for sure, and he can tell you all kinds of stuff about the first few years of that race and stuff. And Gary Wang, Gary's a good friend of mine. Gary has documented a lot of the stuff on Western States, and he's done it. Gary's only done it 10 times, and so he's got a 1,000-mile buckle and
That's
stuff.
Amazing.
And I'm gonna hit up Gary Robbins sometime. Gary, if you're out there listening, I'm gonna interview you. I'm focusing now on Big Island people because I think it's important to get everybody's story out here. But I'll interview. Hopefully, Gary will let me interview him sometime or another. We could start talking Western states. If you had a dream race, if there was a race that you could qualify for, and there was no expense involved, you got a race in mind that you would want to do?
One that has caught my attention is the Orcas Island races up there.
Tough race.
Puget Sound up there. All out on an island, and I don't know that area of the country all that well. I've been through there a few times, but it certainly has captured my attention. And so, yeah, one of these days I might race up there. That'd be fun.
So what have you got? Have you signed up for anything this year? Or you signed up for
Oh yeah, gosh, I had that King's Runner race. I had Hapalua, which got deferred all the way to next year, I think, is what we're going to do with that one. I had one in May. My daughter's supposed to graduate from college, so I was going to do the race in Forest Park again. That got canceled. That was May. And then I was going to do the Pancake Run, Macathon. That was just a couple days ago, or would have been.
Yeah.
I'm signed up for the half at Kona.
The Kona at Waikoloa?
Yeah.
Brent's race? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that will get canceled at some point.
He has. I've kind of kept an eye on the webpage and stuff, and he's not even mentioned anything about anything. So
yeah.
But I agree with you.
I can't imagine they can pull that one off. Then I've kind of had in the back of my mind of thinking about running Peacock this year over on Oahu. I don't know if I'll do just the one loop or both. If I just do one, I'd have to endure Justin's ridicule about going half cock. So.
Oh, he's on my list too. I'm going to interview that guy.
But yeah, Nick really, I think Nick sort of saw the light in that race, and he certainly sparked my interest in that one. So, and that's just on the other side of the mountains from Waianae, where I kind of grew up. So
there you go. Oh, that's true. I keep forgetting that all you guys that have so much history over in Oahu. I mean, I lived there in the late 80s, early 90s. But I mean, back then I was just riding a bike pretty much and just doing the road races.
Yeah. Yeah. You get up on the top of that mountain up there and you can see both sides. You can see the whole point. Kaena is right out there at the end, but you can see Yokohama, you can see Makua, all those beautiful, beautiful places on the west side of Oahu are visible from up there. But that's got to be a tough race. I've hiked that area and it was hard to walk up.
Yeah, but my always saving grace is, well, I don't run that much faster than I walk, so no.
And I'm also signed up for Honolulu Marathon this year. I went ahead and signed up when they had the cheap fare for
$35 or whatever it was.
Yeah, the local rate was cheap, and now we have Southwest, so I can fly over pretty cheap. So good thing. I didn't know I'd be broke because all the work would go away, but
yeah, I mean, I had not signed up I'm signed up for the Ohia half, and I had not signed up yet for Kauai Marathon, which have you ever done Kauai?
I have not. No.
Ooh, you'd love it. It's hard.
Is it?
Yeah, at mile 18. You go up to the little town where there's a golf course, and you run around the backside of the golf course. And then from like 18 to 21, it's Koloko.
Oh.
And at that point in the race, it makes it very interesting. You asked Bree about it too. She did it a couple years ago and stuff.
It's been 25 years since I've been to Kauai. I should go over there. That sounds really interesting. Hit the hills at that.
I mean.
Oh, yeah.
They have halals at every aid station. They have drummers at every aid station. And as far as scenic, it's probably the most scenic marathon you're ever going to see.
Yeah, I bet.
Tough race though. Tough race. Not an easy race. It's the toughest of the regular marathons that we have. on the
Well,
island.
speaking of tough races, I'm also signed up for the Ka'u Coffee Trail Run,
Oh,
and I am signed up for the Ohia Run here in Volcano Village. Of course, that's my neighborhood run, so race.
D-
But yeah, that Ka'u Coffee Run, that's a beauty.
DFL last year, man. DFL for me.
Yeah,
Dead
yeah.
last. Oh yeah. They had locked some of the gates too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was like three of us running towards the back there, and we got to one gate, and it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah.
Well, hey, it's a beautiful place to run. And it's the only time of year you could run, so why not make every moment last?
And I tell you that race is comparable to some of the tough races in Texas.
Oh
Because I've
yeah,
done, a couple of races in Texas where there's tree roots all over the place.
yeah,
Not as bad as hurt,
yeah,
but there's just stuff to trip on everywhere. And at Kiowa is the same thing. There's mud,
yeah.
there's rocks, there's you guys. Of course, you guys fly downhill. I admire you so much.
Uh, I'm a little scared of it now with the ankle, but the confidence is coming back. I'm, yeah, I think I had a pretty good race this past September. I think that one went well. I know I had fun. I know
Yeah,
I remember when you get up there by the reservoir
yeah.
and then you go down a little bit and then it opens up and you can see that whole beautiful vista. That was epic that day.
Oh yeah, the weather was gorgeous this year.
Yeah, it was a awesome day. Really something.
And there was a little tub of cookies waiting for me at the finish line, even though Kendra had left already.
Oh. Yeah, I finished with Bree. I don't think it was this year. I think it was the year before, but she's all recovered now and running fast again. But there for a while when she was still rehabbing, I could almost keep up with her, and so that was kind of special.
But yes, for some of us, that's our only hope. If somebody's
Right. No, I count on them injuries. Injuries, cramps, they're my best strategy. Of course, they got to be in somebody else, not me.
Have you ever thought about running in Luna sandals and stuff to get
uh,
your ankles going?
no, no, I'm afraid I might be past the tolerance for I feel like I would need something to protect the bottom of my feet.
Well,
Sometimes my feet hurt so bad, or they used to before the Hokas. They would hurt so bad that I mean, it's kind of a dark joke, but I totally understood why. When that Abu Ghraib thing was going on, and you'd hear about a form of torture, beating the bottoms of people's feet, get
yeah.
them to talk. I totally understood that, because you run a long way and your feet start hurting. It's like, oh my goodness, this is bad.
That's what and I'll give you a hint on the Mondo Luna sandals. It's a 14 millimeter, basically a Vibram sole.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it forces you to focus on completely on the trail and where you're
Yeah.
stepping, every step and stuff. I think it's helped my ankles, hopefully, from doing some. I did Kauai Marathon in it, last year in a pair of sandals. But I totally understand what you're saying about stack height. I
Yeah.
mean, that's with the Ultras, my favorite shoe is the Olympus,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is now 33 millimeter stack height.
Yeah.
Get that cushion on the bottom of your foot.
Yep.
I don't count on it for necessarily the spring so much as I just wanted. That was the greatest thing about Hoka's when they first came out, the first Clifton.
Mm-hmm.
I can run over here. I don't have to worry about stepping on Kiabe. I
Yeah.
don't have, I could step on just literally anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So when you go planning out next year, let's say 2021,
Yeah.
you going to do Hilo to Volcano again, you think? It's such an
I,
inexpensive race. I mean,
yeah, I probably will. funny enough, a friend of a friend from Brooklyn, New York, after that race this year, got a hold of me, wondering if the Shawn Mishler he read on the roster is me, and that he turns 50, I think, that next year,
Yeah,
and so he wanted to run a 50K on his 50th, and he's looking at that one, and so I was like, "Well, you come over here, I'll do it with you."
kids.
So yeah, no, I like that race. That's one of my favorite aspects of the races here. I love the small races, the
Yeah.
just the community. I mean, we got such a great running community over here, and it's always the same familiar faces all over the place. But that really just makes it. And, if I am not sure I would enjoy running as much if I had all the money that would be required to go to a lot of mainland races and always not know somebody there. I
Yeah.
really, I
Yeah.
really like going to the west side of the Big Island, going down to Ka'u, going up. Um, there's not a lot actually up in the north part of the island, but um,
Well, and we're lucky too, I guess we take it for granted. It's like every weekend there's an event until
yeah,
COVID-19 came along. Every weekend there was a race of some sort, a run of some sort, whether it
yeah,
was, uh, the Monorail 10 milers, the Monorail 10s and stuff, Keith's race and stuff. There's
another
something,
beautiful, beautiful race.
everything, every weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, no, or there's just people doing things all over the place. I mean, run to Waimanu with a group of runners, or run to the summit of Mauna Kea, or did that recently with Bree and Patrick and Jacob, and it's just a kick. It's so much fun.
Well, for a young guy like you, thank God you're not in my age group, or not even close to my age group.
I know it. Yeah, I think I'll be in that 25 to 30 next year. So
Well, you and Todd, I still remember Todd when he did the that bike race they had in Kona where it was like an obstacle course.
I don't. He does the. Is that the dragon one
No,
with the
no, no,
hills?
no, this was a like it was right on the soccer field next to the swimming pool, the
Oh, okay.
on a swimming pool, and it was like I'd seen Todd before floating around and doing races and stuff and riding a bike, but there was one spot where the bike it was so steep uphill that you had to get off the bike to do it.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
he was just jumping off the bike like he's 19 years old. And I'm going, my God, how do you guys
Yeah.
do that? And watching
Right.
you guys run when it comes to obstacles and stuff, like a Kau, where do you focus when you run? Do you focus close or do you focus far?
I focus far. I focus out because I trust my feet will know where to land when I get to that spot. But I absolutely do have to scan the ground, especially when it gets particularly technical, or what really I think tires my mind so much is when the grass gets deep and I don't know what's there. And so it's like running by braille almost. It's just wherever that foot lands, what am I going to find and how am I going to react to it? So that's the most sort of mentally exhausting uh, terrain, I guess. But yeah, I kind of just watch the trail out maybe 10 feet out in front of me. And then I know my feet will land in the right place at that point, but I got to see it. I got to know what's there.
Oh, gotcha. That's what makes Kau, that first part of Kau, challenging to me.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's like, man, I can't
Yeah,
see it.
there was a group of us not too long before all this came down, ran the Pu'o'o Trail off of Saddle
Yeah,
Road right
yeah.
there where people hike out and hike. So we started up there and finished over here on this side. So we went all the
Oh,
way over. You can end on Mauna Loa Strip Road, and so Todd left his truck over there, and we caught a ride over. And but anyway, that trail was very technical, a lot of so
yeah,
even if you see it, you don't know if it's stable. It can roll underneath your feet. So that was tiring, and we got lost or
yeah.
off trail or whatever. But it's a great one. I mean, that's one thing I think a lot about on these trails is like, why is this trail here? You know, who made this trail? How many people had to walk this for it to be a trail? I think that one was I think they used to ranch cattle up there, and they would take them down that trail. And then I think they would take them through the park all the way to Keoho, which is where they would load inside the park there. They would, load cattle onto these ships from long time ago.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Because yeah, the ranch is on the other side of the road there.
It is, yeah. It says
Yeah.
Pu'u'o Ranch,
Yeah.
and then that trail, in one shape or another, you could draw a line all the way to the water down at Keoho or any of those areas.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's always been the best thing about the Big Island is it's a big island.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, my one of my most interesting adventures was a solo hike that I did. This was a backpacking thing. Started down at the end of Chain of Craters Road, where Pu'uloa is, where the petroglyphs are,
Yeah.
and picked up that trail along the water and went to Keoho, went to Halape, went to Ka'aha, went up, and then eventually got onto the Idaho Trail. But anyway, I went to the summit of Mauna Loa from there and then down the other side. So I went Idaho and then down the regular one. So anyway, it was like 7 days of solo hiking. And I think I saw 2 people the whole time.
Oh, man.
So
That's perfect.
And, the fact that you can do that here,
Yeah.
just like walk for 7 days and see 2 people.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, how has it been in your neighborhood as far as lately? I mean, I know where I go, there's a lot more people. There's dog walkers. There's
Oh, yeah.
never seen running before.
Oh, yeah. No, I see so many more people in my neighborhood now. And I'll run by, some old fart will be standing in his yard, just standing there. And you think, wow, how long you been standing there? But he tries to strike up a conversation with me as I'm running by. I think people are lonely.
Oh, yeah.
They just want, it's like, hey, wait.
Yeah.
But there's so many people out now just walking, and it's kind of nice to see. I like the thought of more people getting out, getting some fresh air and getting some exercise.
Yeah, I hope that I always encourage people when I always do a video on it when I turn around on the run up there, and I just go, I hope everybody's staying active, staying safe, and exercising responsibly and giving.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, got to do that.
Until, it's going to be a new reality, whatever reality is going to come up, in the months ahead and stuff.
Yeah, this is a big one.
I can't thank you enough, Shawn, for the time today.
Oh, no, it's been fun.
You got any products you want to plug? Any potential sponsors that you want to reach out to? Hoka Shoes, you're listening?
I got nothing. That's what I love about running, is it requires almost nothing of me. I love my Hoka shoes. I don't know where I'll be in a couple of years. I may have new favorites by then. 2 years ago, Ultras were it. I love them things, and I love the ground feel and everything about it. But no, I love to run. I love the community. It's all good. I can't wait till we can all get back together again.
Oh, right on, brother. Right on.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna do like I said. I'm gonna go out here. Thank you so much for your time and stuff.
All right. Take care, Joe.
Says I'm only gonna remove you digitally. I'm not gonna remove you at all from my life.
Okay, so I won't disappear, right?
No, you'll disappear from my end.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Shawn.
Have
a good one.
You. See ya.
Okay. Oh, I can't thank Shawn enough. That was great. I appreciate his time, and his attitude is just so great. As far as, like you said, you don't need anything to run. You just go out there. You don't need a sponsor to do it. You don't need a lot of equipment. Certainly, that was always the one thing about running that's been great. I think in everybody's lives has been to be able to just go out and do it. And again, I would shout out to Tailwind right here, my Rebuild which I need to rebuild after every run nowadays. It seems like. But a shout out to them again. Hashtag Go Tailwind and hashtag Tailwind Nutrition. And to anybody who wants to follow our podcasts and stuff, there's a couple ways to do it. A few ways to do it now. We're on YouTube. And again, if you're watching it on YouTube, you're probably already there. But if you go on YouTube and search for, it'll show up usually if you go Big Island Hawaii Ultra, the channel will show up. If you go onto iTunes now and search for the same thing, Big Island Hawaii Ultra, we're up on iTunes. And on if I'm still doing everything correctly with the interviews and nobody gets too mad at me, hopefully we can continue this for quite a while. I want to get the stories of the people that I know on the Big Island here and people I don't know out. I think it's important to be able to everybody to experience these people, see what a great guy Shawn is and stuff. And you can always email me at joe@joefireball. Let's see, I'll use this as a reminder. Here's a fireball right here. But joe@joefireball will get emailed directly to me. And like I said, you can also check out our website at www.hawaiiultra.com, or you can click up here. Oops, where am I? Up here to subscribe to the podcast. And over here is actually, it'll be one of the other podcasts that we have going on and stuff. So I hope everybody's having a great day and staying safe. Aloha.